Good morning, church. I hope you're all having a wonderful week. So for today's devotional, I just want to share a few of my thoughts around justice. So I'm going to be following a little bit on from what Joe said yesterday. I'm sorry if I repeat stuff that he said, but at the same time, if I repeat it, maybe God's trying to tell us something. So I'm going to be looking at a couple of Bible passages that talk about justice and talk about God's heart for it. So I think that justice and a just society is at the core, at the very heart of God, and therefore at the very core of what He wants us to be like, of what He wants all of His people to be like. So I think it's one of the core elements in our walk as Christians, and I think that justice reflects the image of God. Justice is the absolute purest image of God and what He wants. And I want to read you a couple of Bible passages, and then I just want to quickly talk about them a little bit. So the first one is Micah 6 verse 8, and it says this, and what does the Lord require of you? To act justly and to love mercy and to walk humbly with your God. I think that is such a cool verse. It's one of my favourite verses, and it always comes back to me. So that is literally what God requires of us, to act justly, to love mercy, or in other translations it says to love kindness, and to walk humbly with our God. And if you think about it, if you put those all together, they essentially mean the same thing. They just mean to live in the image of God. God acts justly. He loves kindness. He loves mercy, and therefore, because we're His children, we're made in His image, like Joe said. We should be acting like that, and that is our core purpose as Christians. And I think personally, that's one of the best ways to share the gospel as well, showing people that we care about justice, showing people that we care about everyone and we don't differentiate between people. And I think that injustice comes as sometimes as part of sin, and we're all sinful, we're all human, and therefore I think that wherever people are, there is injustice. So we need to be actively looking for that and looking how we can solve that and how we can show God's heart through our actions. The next passage is Isaiah 1:17, which says, "Learn to do right, seek justice, defend the oppressed, take up the cause of the fatherless, plead the case of the widow." Again, such a powerful passage. So God is with the vulnerable. We see Him in the Bible stories. He always hangs out with the poor and the outcast, and that is what He calls us to do. He calls us to stand up for the people that don't have a voice. He calls us to stand there with the people in the rubble, and He calls us to be in His image and to seek justice for these people that maybe can't seek it for themselves. And justice is just giving people what they need, whether that is provision, whether it's protection, or whether it's showing them love, whether it's showing them that we don't make differences between them. And I think, for me, I think justice is part of our worship. I think it's part of the way we can show our love to God, and we can show that we want to be the people that He created us to be. And like I said, justice is at the very core of who God is, and I think it is so important that as we get closer to God, we seek more of that justice, and that our hearts long to make that change, and be the people that make a change. Now, I know that looks really different for everyone. Everyone's in really different situations. Everyone has different people around them, and I think it does look very different for everyone. So I guess my wrap-up thought is that my prayer is just that I really want everyone to understand that justice is at the very heart of who God is, and therefore fighting for justice should be at the core of who we are and what we do as His people. So I just want to leave you with two questions. First one is, when you see injustice, what is your response? Do you tend to walk away and leave it alone, and maybe look inward, like Joe said, or what is your response? How do you act? And kind of as part of that, what would God do? What would Jesus do? What would He do in that situation? And the second one is, how can you act out to see the change that we long to see? I think we, again, are called to be people who seek justice. And at a time like this, when there's so many things going on in the world, where we can seek justice, is really important to stand with them and to fight with them and to be a voice for the people that don't have a voice. And that's so important. But I really long to see people with the same heart and the same passion for justice that they have now, after this ends, after we're out of our homes, after the whole protests at the moment, after they finish. I really long for us all to, as people of God, to keep having that heart for justice. I don't want it to end. I think it's really cool, and I think it's amazing, and what we're called to as Christians, and we really do need to see it more often. So yeah, that's my challenge for you. How do you act when you see justice, and how would you like to act? And let's be people that take that step, that maybe justice is sometimes uncomfortable. It can bring down people's reputations. It can mean that some people maybe don't like you because of your opinions, but I think none of that matters. Jesus loves you, and that is who he created you to be, and that is who he is, and we should be showing that. So yeah, I hope you have a very best day. Bye.